Welcome everybody to episode 3 of MAGDX, Middle Age Games Dimension X. I am Eric. That other guy, my Michael to his McDonald, is Abara here. And this week we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about some amazing 90s questions. We have a new segment for Abara here. And also, we're going to talk about, some corrections and things as well. So how is your week going so far, Abara?
Going good. More of the same. I mentioned last week that I was getting prepared for a Kickstarter, my book that I've been working on for like 3 years. I actually had my publisher take a look at my Kickstarter page. So right now it's in review with Kickstarter. And as soon as they approve it, then I can send out like the preview page so that everyone can follow me and, potentially, hopefully, back me whenever it's live.
This could be awesome. I'm really excited to see it, especially the what you've told me so far. Keep it all hush hush, but I think it's gonna be amazing. And I think also what's gonna be great is the other thing that you were talking to me about with the Kickstarter stuff. So I think that's gonna be pretty interesting. Myself, I basically possibly got a promotion at my job. I don't know specifically what's going on yet, but funny story is that the guy I used to work with, he just disappeared and left. He just I retired and just walked out. Didn't tell anybody. Everyone was confused. And so I'm kind of, manning the ship right now. And tomorrow I got a bunch of stuff I'm going to be doing, but I will always still be, playing games and stuff. I've been playing Sonic Origins. And let me tell you something about that game really quick. There's something that you would enjoy. So they have what's called story mode in it, right? Mm-hmm. So all the games are together in the timeline. So Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, and wherever they drop, they're all together. There's no lives. And then what happens is they give you these coin stars and you can unlock stuff in your museum. Or if you go to a bonus round, like say, for example, like for Chaos Emeralds, you can use that coin to go back into the game to basically rewind and try again. Because as kids, we got stuck with one chance, and then we had to find another thing. You can actually get another option with the coins, which is awesome.
Yeah, that was the craziest thing about Sonic 1 and Sonic 2. Every Chaos Emerald was corresponded to a different level. If correct me if I'm wrong, but if you missed the Chaos Emerald during a specific bonus stage, that was it. You didn't have a chance to get it again, right?
Yeah, like Sonic 2, for example. If you screwed up, you went to the next bonus round for another Chaos Emerald, and it's just weird.
I remember that crap, man. That's devastating as a kid.
And Spin Dash. Oh my God, Sonic 1 has Sonic 2 spins and spin dashes. Made the game so much better. I used to hate it as a kid. And by the way, Labyrinth level is the worst Sonic level in the face of the planet.
No,
that
Labyrinth
level.
No. You're talking about Sonic 1 Labyrinth?
Yeah, I hate it.
No, dude, that's the best. Oh my gosh, that music! I love that music.
And you got spikes, and then what happens at the end of it? You have to chase Robotnik, and you have no coins, so you have to try to make it up this thing with water chasing you, and you got spikes and fire going on at the same time.
I love that. That level's so good.
So mad.
It's such a banger of music too. Oh man, so good. I can't believe you. I thought I knew you.
And also, we had the 4th of July, so we took the kids swimming and we went to her uncle's house. And what's cool is we do what's called basically we all make ribs, different types of ribs, and we bring them all together, and then we basically eat and go swimming and hang out, which was fun. I had a good vacation. I had 5 days off, so it was really good. It just sucked when I had to go back.
Yeah, Natalie, she started a new job today. So it was kind of her last hurrah. She just wanted a quiet 4th is what we kind of did. So we didn't go anywhere, but I mean, dude, it was like Armageddon, the entire neighborhood around us. I mean, we had our own fireworks show, just had to sit out on the patio and deal with bugs and bats and stuff. But other than that, dude, it was awesome. Oh, going back to your coworker that just up and vanished, that reminded me of Ninja Turtles, the movie. And I'm ashamed to say that I can't remember the dude's name. Who's the guy that said Ninja vanished and threw down the smoke bombs?
Oh, Tatsu. That's Tatsu.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I was gonna say that reference, but I couldn't remember his name, but I knew you would know. So
Dude, he straight up did that. Like, it was very weird. He like walked up to me and like we were talking about like,
Ninja
work and stuff,
Vanish.
and he was like, "Whatever you want to do, man." And then I went out to the back and he was like, "Bye." And then he just disappeared, and that was it. I was like, "It's the craziest thing I've ever seen." But enough of all that old manness. Uh we're gonna go over the first topic. The first topic we're gonna talk about today is, what do toys mean to you? And what I mean by that is, like, when you hear the word toy, what is the first from your childhood that you think of when you hear the word toy?
That's easy. And it's kind of surprising for me because, being so like engrossed in the Nintendo and all these video games and stuff. I wasn't always, and it would surprise you to hear that, like, when the Nintendo first came out. I mean, I know your story about how your mom was like part of that test market, and she was like part of the cutting edge of like playing video games and stuff like that. So
Right.
like my parents didn't have an Atari. I wasn't. I don't even think I was even tangentially aware of video games like at the time when I was growing up. So when you say toy to me, I think of Tonka trucks and playing out in the dirt
Yes.
with Tonka trucks, like those metal Tonka trucks.
Yep.
And
I got one
I
for a birthday
yeah,
with Tootsie Rolls in it. My mom put Tootsie Rolls in it and rolled it to me, which I thought was pretty cool. It's like, I think it was like my
yes,
second birthday.
yeah. But I didn't always I wasn't always a shut in, playing video games and not getting any vitamin D. I used to be outside and, you know, playing in the dirt, freaking playing baseball, like, sandlot baseball, like not
Yes.
organized or whatever. But, yeah, man, like, toys to me, that's it for me. And then like, we grew up in the era of Ninja Turtles. So I had Ninja Turtles. Um, I didn't have GI Joe though. I had Mask. I don't know how
I
that
remember Mask.
happened.
Yep.
Was
Remember
that like the
Mask.
cheap knockoff or something like that? Because I could
No,
see my
they actually
parents
had
doing
they
that.
actually had the whole cartoon series and everything. Like,
Okay.
it's actually a very popular collectible in the toy community.
Yeah, because like I mean, I remember having Mask toys and playing with Mask toys, but I never watched the cartoon. I never asked my parents for them. That's just what they got me. So I just played with what we had. Oh, sorry. One last thing before I kick it over to you. Um, we used to have this like cloth bag full of like Legos and all this other stuff. But one thing that I used to play with as a kid, and it was my dad's toys. Well, my dad's collectibles. We used to play with all the vintage Star Wars toys.
Yes, those are
Yeah,
awesome too.
yeah, all the stuff that people are like, falling over with like mint and card and stuff. No, I was like playing with those things and wrecking them. So
It's the best though. It's
yeah,
fun
that's
fun to
toys to
play with
me.
a piece of plastic. Yep. Mine. I have three. I have three different ones, and they. When I ever hear toy, I just remember as a kid, like I would. I did the same thing you did. I I would have. I would make a whole dirt thing outside, like with berms and places where I could drive my cars and all the things like
Yeah,
that.
dude.
I used to be notorious with it, like with making those. But the three toys I had that I remember vividly as a kid: Ninja Turtles. My mom used to, if I did good in school, when she got a paycheck, she would take me to KB, and they had a lot of them, like down there with the cards, and I would pick one up like once a week if I was good. If not, then I had to wait till the following week to get it. My birthday, I got a couple of them. I got like two. And so I got like all the weird B sides of the Ninja Turtles, like
Mm-hmm.
Tattoo with the guy with the belly, General Trag, which is my favorite one. He has like a spider and a snake on him and stuff. Uh,
Is that one of the
the other
Rock
one,
Soldiers?
yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Okay.
like the head.
Yeah.
The other one I was really big in was Real Ghostbusters. I love Ghostbusters, and the cartoon was like my favorite. It's a really
Mm.
dark cartoon. If you even as an adult, if you watch it now, it's like it's cool little stories that they throw together, like little mini episodes and stuff. And I was big on that. I love. I'll tell you a funny story. My mom bought me, so the Ghostbusters had a slime, right? And this slime was purple. And what I did was I was in the bathtub and I was like, I want to pour it in here
Oh no.
and hopefully I'll make more slime that I can play with. but what I did was when I put the slime in there, it stained the bathtub purple.
Oh,
So it was a big purple
crap.
stain around it, and I couldn't get it out, and I got like so much trouble with my mom. And then the last one that I I know you're gonna laugh at me. Pro wrestling figures. I had the ring. I would talk as the guys. I had Macho Man and Hulk
Yeah.
Hogan, and I would battle it out in the middle of the ring. And then I would put scenarios. I had a title belt, and I would exchange title belts between the characters and stuff like that. I made my own scenarios of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would do the announcer stuff, and I would sit there and like have them in the corners, and I would just battle them out. I thought it was super fun. Uh, Toy
So
to play with.
you were an only child, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, were you playing this stuff alone, or were you actually like playing with friends?
I honestly never played. The only time I
I
played with
don't mean to
friends
make
was
this a sad
yeah.
question.
No, no. So the only thing me and my friends did together really was play. So you remember those Nerf balls with the whistles
Yeah.
that you throw them in the air and you can hear them.
Mm-hmm.
So we would in
The
DC.
one
What
that
would
John
happen
Elway
is
could throw 110 yards.
yes.
Yeah.
I think it's true. So what we would do is all the kids would be in DC. We'd be in our own apartments and we would play with our own toys. We never brought toys out or anything like that. But when you heard the ball whistle outside, you knew that it was time to play football. So
Mm-hmm.
we would go out, play football, and then I'd run back in and I'd play video games or play with my toys. Because I
Yeah.
was always afraid of losing them. I had cousins. I used to live with my cousins. My cousins would break my toys on purpose. Like they would like
Mm.
snap them just to be jerks. So I always had to like hide my toys from people so I make sure I can enjoy them. But those are the three things I think toy wise, if I ever think about it, another one I'll throw a hidden gem one out there. I hate to say hidden gem, but the Incredible Crash Dummies. It
Yeah.
was a car. You throw the dummies in there and you just crash it, but it took you longer to put it together
Oh
than to
yeah.
have fun
I
bashing against
remember
the
that.
wall.
I remember the commercials for that. Yeah, and going back to like what they meant or what toys meant to me and the stuff that I played with. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that I would play. So like growing up, I was born in '81, just like you, October of '81.
Great year.
My next door neighbor, when we moved, I think I was like 2 or 3, probably 3 years old, when we moved to Fortuna in our street on Ronald Avenue. Next door to us was another kid that was my age. He was born in January of '82. So I mean, we were essentially the same age. Same interests, same whatever. So he and I would always play outside all the time. Like Tonka trucks, I remembered vividly playing out in his front yard. We would play on our hill, like right between our properties, and then like anytime anybody had like a car washing their car or something like that, and then like water going down the gutter like in front of our houses, that was like extra fun because like you could play with your like little Hot Wheels and stuff in the water. um But yeah, Wade Kleintobe, a buddy of mine, he's I don't know, he's potentially listening to this right now, I don't know. But yeah, he and I would always play this stuff like Ninja Turtles. He had GI Joes. He had those wrestling buddies, those like
Yeah, I had
stuffed.
those too.
Yeah, he
Drop the
had like
elbows
I
on them
think
and
he
stuff.
had
Yep.
Ultimate Warrior, and I remember like
I did
we'd
too.
we'd
That's
be in
my
his
favorite.
room or something like that, and like freaking just elbow dropping this thing.
My cousin had Hulk Hogan, and I had another
Yeah,
cousin had Macho Man, or no, sorry, the Million Dollar Man, and
yeah.
we would all have like a
How
triple
many
threat
were
match
there?
at my cousin's house. I think there was four. I think it
Okay.
was Macho Man. I think it was possibly Macho Man, Hulk, Million Dollar Man, and Ultimate Warrior. It was like
Okay,
those are
yeah.
four
Here's another
popular
question.
guys.
How do you not have those?
So okay, funny story. I had an Ultimate Warrior one, but there's a
Yeah.
jujitsu guy that I'm friends with. His name's Boogeyman, and Boogeyman is this crazy jujitsu guy. Him and his brother are like just monsters at jujitsu. I mean, they're on the highest tier.
Yeah.
And he came over to my house when they were doing a class for us. He came to my house and he was just loving it so much. He was like looking at
Oh,
it
you just gave it
and
to him?
smiling and stuff. And so I didn't give it to him that time, but when he came back for the second one for the year later, I
Yeah.
gave him that one. He was so excited. And then
That's
he
cool.
even jujitsu fought it on the floor, like when we were at the thing, which was hilarious. He was putting in chokehold and stuff.
Who
And
won?
he's like, I got he did Watchmen Warrior, of course. But I love those two. The other thing that I'll say with it is, did you ever have? And I want these so bad. Remember the Hot Wheel cars that you could put like cold water on them or hot water, and they
Mhm.
change like multiple colors.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah.
want a pack of those to give to my kids to play with, because I think it would
Yeah,
just
those are
blow their
awesome.
minds. But is there any other toy memories that you might have?
Nope, and we just hit our timer, so good time for the next one.
Yes. So the next one we're going to talk about is movie sequels. It doesn't matter what time era it is, but basically, there's always these horrible sequels that you'll see that they're just really, just really, really awful. Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Uh, but there are some sequels that actually beat the original movie, and I
Yeah.
thought it'd be a good topic for us. Starting with you, what's a sequel that you think is better than the original movie?
So I'm gonna go to my love of baseball first. That's got to be Major League Two. Major League Two is
Yes,
such an amazing movie.
I love it.
And I mean, like it's made better if you've seen the first one, but it stands on its own. Just because of all the like ridiculous characters. I mean, dude that's freaking into voodoo and like, you know, um, he he does what is it, all state commercials nowadays? Like,
Did you hear
are you
what
in good
you
health?
hear about him in the movie? Did you hear about him in the movie?
What about?
So so here's a funny topic you didn't know about. So you know that home run he hit in that movie, and he
Did he
holds
actually
the
hit that?
bat. So he holds the back and runs around,
Yeah,
like he was
yeah,
running around. So what happened was, I heard this. I heard a podcast guy that was like a director for it. What happened was, he actually was hitting those home runs, and what
I don't
happened was
doubt
they
it.
had like that big crowd there, and it was the first time the crowd was there, and he hit the home run, and he was so excited he held onto the bat, and they used it as like a character trait for him because they couldn't retake it again, so that they let him keep with the bat running around. So that legitimately happened.
Jobu,
Jabu.
Jobu.
I want one of
Yeah.
those so bad for the
Oh
house.
my god. Yeah. Then the Japanese dude, I can't remember his name. Oh man, I need to watch that again. Like, it's really fuzzy in my mind as far as like the characters. But my favorite character out of that whole thing, and it's not Wild Thing, it's freaking the manager that wants to play Dorn.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
was that his name?
He's like a really old man with scruffy little mustache and stuff. I can't think of that. I
Yeah,
can't think of
yeah,
his name. Yeah.
yeah. And then like, dude, he wants to play, and like he just like refuses to come out and get
Yep.
substituted, and finally the coach like puts him in one time to like just get hit, and he's like, oh, I don't want to. Like, oh dude, I love that guy.
The other
um
guy I like in that movie is the that older gentleman where he's like putting all that stuff on him, but it was like icy hot and stuff.
yeah, 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 yeah,
He's pretty funny too.
yeah. No, I dude, whenever whenever I think of like sequels back then, that one, I love that movie. I can watch that movie any day. Like if it's on, I don't care what part of the movie it's on. I'll sit down and watch it. What about you?
I have three, but I'm only gonna talk about one. I will say this. I know everyone's beating the bush on this. Aliens
Yeah.
is one that's really good. Back to the
Um.
Future 2.
Oh, Back to the Future 2. That's a great one.
Everyone,
So okay. Before you go any further, and you're gonna have to school me on this, and this is actually a good segue into something else that we're gonna talk about.
mhm.
Um, I don't know the like how like what is in line for aliens? Like what's the how do they come out? Because I've only seen the original one. That's it.
So the original one was done by Ridley Scott, and it was a horror movie, like a thrasher kind of movie, like kind of like Michael Myers and stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, they were going to make a sequel with him, but he wanted too much money, so they gave it to James Cameron because he was doing. So he wrote Aliens, and what happened was he didn't even make Terminator yet, but they had to wait for him to get done with the Terminator movie to make Aliens, and because
Wow.
Terminator was a box office hit, instead of making him the writer of the movie and producer, they made him the director. And then Alien 3 went to complete hell. Fox like fired everybody, and some random director that was doing music videos made that movie.
Ooh.
And so it's like crazy chaos. But what the storyline is that she gets away from the first alien in the movie. Spoiler alert, everybody.
Yeah.
She basically
30 years, 40 years later.
She puts herself in those tubes, and she went frozen for a few years. She was found by a salvage team 50 years later, and then they want her to go to the planet where they found that first alien, and they come to find out that they had colonists that were basically making the planet breathable, and they all get basically killed. And so they send Marines in to help them out, and then they basically escape again. And what happens on Alien 3, which makes no sense, they had a face hugger was on the ship. So it actually impregnated Sigourney Weaver. And so the company wanted the alien, and she had to figure out how to kill herself. But what's funny about this movie, there's two versions of the movie. One version of the movie is it had a bull get hit, and they were like this religious group that was stuck on a planet. The other one was the one they showed in theaters, and they were prisoners just basically keeping a place open, and they had like no fire, none of that type of stuff. So this thing was like, and then that one they made a dog version of the alien, like it came out of a pit bull, and then so it had dog-like abilities. Yeah, it's weird. But they also made Alien Resurrection, where they cloned Sigourney Weaver's blood, and they try to make an alien based on the blood that she had from Alien 3. It makes no sense, I know. But yeah, that's
where I get confused.
Yeah, it's super confusing. The best sequel ever made, and I'll say it, and I know the Star Wars nuts will agree with me, Empire Strikes Back. And what's crazy about Empire Strikes Back is it had the biggest, craziest ending ever. And on top of that, it's the first movie I ever saw where all the bad guys won. Every movie, everyone like the hero and all this other stuff, like Darth Vader literally just cut his son's arm off. Like, all right, you don't want to join me? I'm going to cut your damn hand off. And like crazy stuff. Like it made some people like it made Darth Vader like an actual like super villain, like in that category. I love the scenes where, they're walking through those Cloud City walkways and he's like sneaking up on them. And at the end, he was just told being a dick and he was just throwing boxes at him and stuff. It's so good and like left you on such a bummer. You're like, dang, man, what are they going to do? They froze Han Solo. They freaking.
I know, yeah, dude. Everything has just gone to shit.
Like, and I was just like, as a kid, I was like, what the hell happened? But it was so good. Introduction of
like,
Boba Fett.
Oh, what was the one before Endgame? Geez, I mean, we just watched that like not that long ago.
Yeah,
a couple years ago. Avengers, Infinity War. Yeah.
Infinity War, yeah.
Like everything just went to shit, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so depressed.
The best part of that movie, and I'll say it, is that they actually put a pimp in the movie, a legitimate pimp in that movie, really? Lando Calrissian. That sexy son of a bitch, about to take Princess Leia, about to take the whole world. Motherfucker was on a Cloud City running business. It's such a great movie. And as a kid, dude, I religiously rolled that thing around. I loved it. I love the snow. I like the snow fight. I like the whole like them on the run. It was like a super fun movie.
Go ahead. Go
ahead. Oh, you go ahead.
I was going to say where we're still talking about Star Wars, and Star Wars fans, forgive me. This is another one. I'm not like a crazy Star Wars nerd. But I've seen them all here and there. I just don't remember like I think it's Return of the Jedi, but I don't know.
Go ahead.
What's the one with the speeder bikes?
That was Return of the Jedi.
That was Return of the Jedi. Okay, I got it right.
Yep.
That was actually filmed in the Redwoods where I grew up.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yep.
I always wanted to go there because they look so cool. Like it's such a great visual of that movie.
Oh, it's amazing.
You know what they called it? They called it Blue Harvest as a joke. They were making an artsy fartsy movie, so no one knew that they were making Return of the Jedi.
Oh, well, that's funny.
Speaking of which, we have a new segment here. So as you see here, Abara has not really watched a lot of pop culture movies. So what I used to do with
Yeah.
him off topic was I would randomly give him laser discs to watch. So I would find these 80s and 90s laser discs. Like for example, I gave him Iron Eagle to check out,
I'd never
and
heard
just
of it.
weird movies. And he never heard of it. So I thought I would bring it on the podcast. So what's going to happen is this is going to be Abara reviews movies, and it's going to
That I
be
should have
in the
seen.
era. Yep. It's going to be in the era of 80s and 90s. So either the movie is going to be like from that era or it's going to be about that era. So he'll have a choice between A, B, and C. The movie he picks, he will review it on the next podcast. And then the other two stay in and I add a new one each time. So, sir, you got three choices.
Wait, before we pick, this is actually a pretty relevant. Oh well, there's a timer, but we'll go with the time extension for this one because this is pretty funny. I had one more pick, and it's relevant to what we're talking about right now because,
Okay.
like he said, there's a lot of movies that I should have seen, but I have not. It's kind of a running joke between us two. I grew up sheltered. I grew up in a Mormon family, so there was a whole lot of stuff that I wasn't subject to. And it's not even necessarily things that are like bad. It's just that, if my parents weren't into it and they didn't want me to see it, then I didn't see it. So like I never saw a Rocky movie until I was in the Air Force. Yeah, I know. And they're like my favorite movies of all time. Like, oh my gosh, Rocky 1 and 2, amazing. Like they make me cry. Anyway,
No,
um
Rocky 4, he saved communism, sir. Like Rocky saved
yeah.
communism.
Ooh, that's another
The end of
good
the Cold
choice.
War.
Rocky 2 is better than Rocky 1. So that's another good choice. But anyway, the one that I was going to talk about is Terminator 2 is an
Yes.
excellent sequel. However, I have never seen Terminator 1. Never seen it.
Well, we'll have to throw that in the mix sometime. I know it's on this mix, but that's something I might throw in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy because that movie, the honest truth, I didn't even know it existed. I saw T2 first before I saw T1. Because I was like, what is this? And then I went back and I'm like, oh, there was actually a first movie? I was like, I got to go check it out.
That's surprising.
Well, they never promoted the first one, really. I mean, I was a young kid then. But the second one in the 90s, it was huge. So I was like, I gotta go back and watch it. And dude, I was like glad because I like it. I like it a lot. I like the storyline to it. It's so good. Not after 3. Let's just put 3 away. But those 3. So choices.
Everyone's favorite Christmas movie?
Yes, Jingle
Die
all
Hard?
the way. With the vengeance.
Well, no, I've never seen Die Hard before.
How the hell have you not seen Die Hard? That came in the mail.
This is what I'm talking about, man. This is what I'm talking about. I've never seen it.
You would get Tide and Die Hard in the mail. Like, you had Columbia House at all? I literally had VCR tapes randomly show up to my mailbox. 30 cents, you get whatever movie you want. By the way, I'm not sheltered at all. My mom did not shelter me at all. Literally, the first movie I ever saw was Child's Play in a theater. Like, literally, that's my first movie I've ever seen.
Never seen any of those either.
That's crazy. I got so many listings I'm going to have to put together for this.
I've never seen Friday the 13th.
You're going to get that too. I'm going to start you with the worst one. I'm not even going to start you with the good one. I'm going to start you with the worst one.
Yeah.
So you have the option.
I hear Jason X or Jason X Space.
How dare you? Jason X is one of the best movies ever made.
I don't know. This is what other people say. It's not my own opinion.
I left a date. By the way, I left a date. I had a date. They're like, hey, you want to go somewhere? And I was like, no. Jason X is coming out tonight. You can come with me. She's like, are you going to see that dumb movie and ditch me? And I was like, absolutely, I'm going to ditch you. By myself in a movie, laughing my ass off. It's one of the greatest comedies I've ever seen in my life.
All right.
Mwah, beautiful. So we have 3 choices here. We have A, B, and C. So I'll let you pick, and then I'm going to tell you why I picked it.
Okay. What you got? I'm supposed to just blind pick. Oh, okay.
Yeah, blind pick. You don't get to see it.
All right. I will pick B.
Very good one. This one is more 89s reference. It's one of my favorite comedies of all time. Hot Tub Time Machine.
Oh, no.
If you never see this one,
I haven't.
This one is great. This is very underrated, and I can't wait to see it. This is all about the 80s and 90s. I won't spoil anything for you.
No, it's already been spoiled for me, so I already know something about it, but I haven't seen it.
But it has John Cusack in it, very 80s and 90s. It also has Chevy Chase in it, but I won't spoil anything for you.
Gotcha.
But This movie's hilarious, and you will have to give us a 5-minute review next week on Hot Tub Time Machine.
Sounds good.
I can't wait. You're gonna laugh your ass off. You're probably gonna think it's one of your new favorite comedies.
Awesome.
All right, next topic we're gonna talk about is it's a 2-question. So like, what video games do you like playing alone, and what video games do you like to play with friends?
Okay. That's a tough one. I'll start with ones that I grew up playing with friends. Because like the stuff that I would play alone was stuff that you would typically play alone. Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Bros. 2, Super Mario Bros. 3. Obviously you could play 2-player mode and like switch off lives or whatever. But traditionally you're just playing that by yourself, especially Zelda. It's a 1-player game, but I have vivid memories of playing that in 2nd grade and like, just I'm in school and I just like counting down the seconds to the end of the school day where my mom comes and picks me up, takes me home, and I can play Zelda. The ones that we would play co-op, Bubble Bobble is the first one that comes to mind. You can play that alone, but it's way better co-op. And spoiler alert, this is a really old game, but you can't even beat the game unless you're playing it 2-player. If you beat the game just by yourself, it tells you to do it again with a 2nd player. So,
That sucks.
Ouch. The 2nd one, and we're gonna jump to another generation. Oh my gosh, we had so much fun with this one, but it's just brutally hard. Super Smash TV.
Yes,
Holy crap, I love those kinds of games. It's that genre of run and gun that made me love games now like The Binding of Isaac, twin stick shooters. So good. Enter the Gungeon, you name it. But Super Smash TV had such a cool premise. Anyone who's seen The Running Man, which I have seen The Running Man.
Movie.
Yeah, awesome movie. It's this premise where like these well, in this case, in the game, you're just a person in a game show racking up a whole bunch of cash and prizes and stuff like that. In The Running Man, you're actually running for your life, for your freedom, because you're a convict or whatever. But same premise, you got all these people coming after you, trying to kill you for entertainment value. And then the third one I was going to say, and I actually have 4, but I'll say
You go ahead.
All right. I'll just say them in the same breath. We got Contra. Awesome by yourself, but amazing 2-player. And then Battletoads. Playing any sort of beat 'em up co-op there's nothing like it, especially if you're playing on a mode. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Battletoads there was friendly fire. You could punch each other. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
So there were always those
games
games where like you play Double Dragon on like the wrong mode and you're freaking hitting each other and just yelling at each other. Those made for some pretty funny moments back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, Battletoads for some reason. Battletoads for me for some reason. I think the rumor as I heard is like it's the hardest 2-player game to play, like the hardest. So I used to get really upset with that game.
Yeah,
back in the day. So games I like to do alone. I will say this: my favorite thing in the world, and I still do it now, is any Resident Evil game alone.
Yeah,
I will turn the lights off. I will sit there like looking real close.
Oh hell no, dude!
Funny story. The first game when the dogs jumped through the window, like knocked me on my ass at my house because I did not know it was coming, and I was like, I'm just gonna walk through like an idiot. And then all of a sudden, like, psh, I was like, "Oh my god!"
Scared the shit out of me. Oh my gosh, dude. Ugh.
And even today, like the craziest thing, like the scariest one I've done by myself is the PSVR. So like Resident Evil 7 and Village is crazy in VR. Crazy in VR. 7's way more scary. But Village in the PSVR 2 is too realistic Like I feel like I'm actually there, which is crazy. It's completely insanity. The one that I would play with my groups of friends, and my favorite one is Blitz. Blitz is the most
Yeah.
chaotic football game I've ever played in my life, and there'd be 4 players, and two would be on a team, and two would be on a team, and we would yell at each other like, "Why didn't you run this way?" And people get smashed. Or you do those crazy audibles where you throw it to your friend and he throws it downfield for you to catch and stuff. Midway made the funnest football game ever. I know people like Madden and all that type of stuff. I would pay money if they would do another Blitz game again, a new HD version of Blitz, and make it like the same. Not like I mean like not like they're doing now, like Arcade One Up, for example. They took all
Yeah.
the tackles out. Like
Yeah,
that's the
they
whole
they
fun of
took
it.
away the late hits, didn't they?
Yeah, it's gone.
What the hell?
It's basically it's basically G-rated Blitz. It's horrible.
Yeah,
I'm not
that's the
paying
whole
it.
point of Blitz is the freaking late hits.
The other thing I love is the lay hits at the end where you just basically just jump on your friends and just
Yeah,
do
it's
stupid stuff for like a
hilarious.
few seconds. It's so good. And the announcer, of course, the NBA Jam God himself.
Mm-hmm.
I had him sign me a Blitz one because all I remember in my head
Yeah.
is all of his little jokes and references in the game. And it's still fun on the Nintendo 64 and the Dreamcast. We used to play it in our dorm rooms when I was in the military, and just love that game. But those are definitely my 2 picks.
Yeah, cool. And good picks they are. Yeah, so like, it kind of reminds me, like I can't believe I didn't think of that one, but I mean there were games that I played on my own, um, not not because oh gosh, Blades of Steel, that's another good one. Blades of Steel.
Yeah,
That
wow,
just popped into my
punching.
head. But you can play that one on your own, like just fine. It's super fun. Like as far as any hockey game goes, in the 8-bit era, man, I would fight you if you said Blades of Steel wasn't the best. But oh my gosh, dude,
Nintendo's ice hockey is pretty good too, because you can like pick the fat guy, the medium guy. You can randomly fight for no apparent reason.
well, you can fight in this
Even
one. It's even got like a freaking face off, like
yeah, face off, you
Street Fight.
punch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. That's the best part. I mean, we would just play just to get into fights. That's so much
that's all I
fun,
did.
man.
That's all I did in ice hockey. I would literally just run around and try to hit the buttons until everyone started fighting, and they would kick us out. And we try
Yeah.
to see how many people we get kicked out. It was so funny.
And then you and I talked about it a little bit, before recording. But Tecmo Bowl is super fun.
Yes.
But you got the whole like you can't pick Bo Jackson thing, or I mean, freaking even the Niners were pretty OP with Montana and Rice. But growing up, that was my team, so that's who I wanted to play as.
I got 2 craziness for you that I'll tell you, an underrated team that no one ever talks about. Chicago. Chicago has Walter Payton, and what
Yeah.
happens is there's another guy named Gentry that's on the kickoff. Gentry's pretty fast too, and literally I can adjust around to where they don't even touch me, and then I don't even have to throw a pass. I can just give it to Walter Payton, and he like takes off. He has this crazy sprint thing where he just takes off, and like you can't catch him for like the first few seconds. And I love that game. I love the music.
Well, oh yeah, dude. It's such a classic thing, and like for those of you who are unfortunate enough to not be familiar with Tecmo Bowl and the way that you pick plays, you would pick a direction on your D-pad and then push either B or A, and that was the play that you would play. And for there was a corresponding one on the other side on defense. If you picked it, then it's an automatic, like the play just falls apart and you get blitzed and just tackled. So if you know what the other person pushed, you're freaking sitting there peeking or something like that, then yeah, exactly. Those shenanigans went on. So that was the cause of some fights.
Quit looking at
Quit
my
looking at my controller. Yeah. That was some fun stuff. And I mean, like, that's not going to happen nowadays because obviously we got online and couch co-op, couch versus is a thing of the past, unfortunately, which we still need to play some wrestling. I need to come over and play that.
My kids for AEW, I'm telling you, man, it was like a throwback. They were arguing with each other. They were complaining. They were telling me that I was cheating them, which was hilarious.
Just like the old days.
It was really funny. I had all four of them. I had my 3 kids and me down here, and all 4 of us were going to town. Logan is the you better watch out for Logan. Logan can actually like really play pretty good. So be very careful of him when you're playing against him.
Yep.
All right, next topic, which we've been since we're from the 80s and 90s, we are fans of physical. We love physical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And lately, I've noticed in stores that physical seems to be disappearing. And I've seen a lot of videos on it, and I know I'm not trying to tag along those guys, but Madlo Pixel, he's kind of a weird guy, but he brought up some interesting facts about June. So June, the company that used to make most of the physical stuff, PlayStation, Switch, and DVDs and all that stuff, they just got out of the business. They just left. They said after June we're done. So I think there's a theory that all these releases were done in June because, like I told you, like who would release their games against Tears of the Kingdom, And I think they try to rush those out to get them out because even like AEW, for example, it doesn't seem like it's a finished game. I think they just try to get it out before that craziness happened.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've been noticing lately going to Target, it's completely bare of any physical. That's including DVDs. Like if I come see a DVD, like there's only like 4 or 5 of them. And if you don't pre-order like from Amazon, I think like I don't get physical. I mean, I walked around looking for games on release day and no one had them, and everyone's just like, I don't know. But they said there's a weird thing like 72% of the generation now, they're the ones doing the downloads. But the thing is that people don't realize downloads you don't own.
Yeah,
because they can take the
you're
license
buying
away
a license.
and you crash it.
You're buying an open-ended license
license
that doesn't guarantee you to that game forever.
Correct. As you see with the 3DS shop, the Wii U shop.
Mm-hmm.
The question I have for you is, do you think sometime down the road, do you think physical will come back? Kind of like vinyls? Kind of like, like those special releases?
That's a tough one. Vinyl's a weird thing because music is kind of timeless. And people, people think the purest way of listening to music for some reason is vinyl. You just got that analog poppy sound to it, which I can't deny. It's something that's unique. But when it comes to watching a 4K Blu-ray, you name it, Ultra HD, it's the same as watching the ones and zeros. There's no difference. There's absolutely no difference unless you have a bad internet connection, in which case, yeah, maybe you want some physical media because there's absolutely no latency at that point. There can't be. Because it's just the disk drive reading the movie at that point instead of it being streamed to your home device, whatever it is. So no, I don't think it's going to kind of follow the pattern of records. And I'm sad to say that we're gonna get to the point where having that physical media is only going to get more expensive because of the print runs going down. People, subscribing to that digital more and more. That being said, I totally agree with you about trying to find things at, say, like Target. Target, and I'm not sure if this is nationwide, but it seems to be. Every Target that I've gone into is going into this like rebuilding mode where they've kind of changed their layout and kind of rethought the way they've allocated the space. And a lot of that space that was dedicated to like movies, Blu-rays, Ultra HDs, I think we're down to like one row and maybe an end cap as far as I've seen. I was surprised to see that because I was looking for some like UHDs. Yeah, dude, they're nowhere to be found in Target, at least. And then the Best Buy that we used to have like near us, like it's gone. So I haven't really seen Best Buy or what they have to offer. But even then, like they were only like, in the literal back corner of the store. Not like they used to be. So anymore, it's just being lessened and lessened. And then as far as like, physical media as far as video games are concerned, yeah, dude. time and time again, we see where like a game comes out, especially a niche one, and it's nowhere to be found. And like it's a total crapshoot whether or not our GameStop is going to have it or our Walmart's going to have it. So you got to make the rounds in order to find this thing. It's nuts.
Yeah, which sucks. At GameStop now, even when they talk to me, they said now that they're only doing pre-orders. If you don't pre-order the game, then they're not getting any more allocated to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's going to this weird mode, and like even me, I was getting frustrated because I wanted Street Fighter 6, could not find the deluxe edition anywhere
Mm-hmm.
on day one. Diablo, I got lucky, and also I've noticed, and we and you've talked about this before too, that I also think that the resellers are going into it too because they know that this physical stuff's going away, and they're going to try to make profit by grabbing up all the games and then selling them for a higher quantity online for the people that enjoy having a physical copy of it.
Well, yeah, it was
Or they're
crazy.
gonna do
Like
small print runs.
you picked up your copy of AEW last week, and immediately like sent me a link saying, "Hey, this Target that I picked it up at, they've got 5 more copies or 6 more copies." I went on there maybe like 30 minutes later, they were all gone. Like somebody snapped them all up. Like I doubt like 6 people were looking for those. So it's probably one person, just like you said, looking to resell them or something like that. Corner of the market. I don't know. Like it's kind of weird.
Well, like for
But
example, like Diablo 4, when I went
mhm.
there, the lady, like I picked up my copy from Target, and she said, yeah, there was some other guy here that picked up like 10 copies of it, and she was like, I wonder why he needed 10 copies of that game because
Oh
the
yeah, I
Diablo
wonder
4 was
why.
so popular. Yeah, and it's just I don't know, like it just seems like I get irritated with stores because they feed into these resellers, like with these niche products and all that
Well,
stuff,
in
and
the,
it
the
drives me nuts.
yeah, and the crazy thing is there's no like a disincentive for them to do so because, they're buying them at what, 60, $70 a pop. They've
Yep.
got the receipt for it. All they can do, I mean, if they don't sit there and like make a profit, then all they have to do is just take them back to the store and get their money back. So it's just going to cost them time. Um, there's really no risk for them to do it.
It's
And
going to affect our stores too, because like Ben's Game Zone and things like that. Like they're not going to have another generation of physical games, and then what's going to happen then? It's going to literally just stop, and then these kids are not like my kids are not really into physical stuff. I try to show them the appreciation of it, but honestly, as long as it plays, they don't care.
yeah, no, yeah, you're right. As long as it plays, they don't care. And to an extent, I'm not all physical. Like I'll buy some stuff on digital too, but that's only if it's highly discounted and in a very special case. Like I love having, just look at your stuff on there and look at my background, freaking games over here. Like I love having stuff on the shelf to display, especially games that I love. Like I will support those developers in any way that I can. I can't tell you how many times I've bought the Binding of Isaac in different ways, shapes, and forms, both physical and digital, and that's because I love that game. Um, but the more the more physical you put out there, the more I'm gonna buy. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah,
And that,
agreed.
like, I'm surprised, and I won't be surprised if we don't see like a special edition for Super Mario Wonder coming out and Super
Yeah.
Mario RPG. Why is it that Nintendo shies away from not making special editions for those Mario games, whereas like Zelda always gets them?
Because I think honestly they know that their fan base, you know what I mean? Like everyone, like it makes me mad. Like when I'm a Metroid fan, like I can't get. I got one
Hmm.
special edition through the whole
Yeah,
era. I got Dread and a 3DS.
yeah,
The problem with Nintendo, I feel, is that uh, with Mario and them, they know that's a guarantee money.
yeah.
Also, you have to think about the Xenoblade Chronicles. The Xenoblade, remember when the Xenoblade Chronicle came out and they were like, they sold too many and they're like, we can only give you the stuff that's inside of it and we'll give you the game later.
Hmm.
They know their demand. They just don't choose to satisfy that demand. And I think they do that intentionally. And we've done it. We dealt with the amiibos and everything else. So it's like really tough. And I think honestly soon, like how you have these pop-up companies like Limited Run and different variations of these companies. I think more and more are going to start coming. and they're going to develop it. Because here's the thing, I'm not going to pay $60 for something I don't own. If I have to stop my error, I'm not going to get things online, because I have a PS3 sitting over there now with 42 games, and once that hard drive crashes out, they're gone forever.
Yeah.
And they're really good games. And it's just tough that these companies think that they get this mindset that, well, we have to buy it for $60. Digital should be like $20 to $25, maybe
I know, because there's
$40
no
for the
overhead. Like,
developers.
you don't have to buy the cartridge, you don't have to buy the disc, you don't have to ship it, you don't have, there's no logistics. It's downloading ones and zeros off of a server, period, and that's has
And
to
the
stay
deluxe
on.
editions, like with all the DLC, they're gonna obsess with. I think DLC is gonna get so bad. Like once this digital era goes, it's gonna be so bad. I like I said, like I just wanted to get your thoughts on that physical stuff.
No, and I think you're
Next,
right. Oh, sorry. Just one final thought on
no,
the
no.
physical, and I think you're right as far as like these limited run and premium edition games. Obviously, disclaimer: I work for them. I'm a graphic designer working for premium edition games, and like we see this right now where we're kind of in a lull as far as people buying physical media, but I think that's just a trend across the board. People, scared about the economy, and maybe like shots fired, pre warning. Like other limited companies kind of squeezing every drop of blood out of a turnip, out of this like the limited run business model. We don't need 72.8 games per week. We only
Oh
need
my God,
physical
it's so
games
bad.
for like games that deserve physicals, if that makes sense.
Yes.
But I'm hoping that you're right in that, like, if physical disappears from the stores, then companies like ours can pick up the slack and can appease people's appetites for physical, because it absolutely still needs to exist. Um, it comes down to the very first thing that you said. You're buying a digital license. You're not buying the game. You don't own the game. You can't resell the game. There's no marketplace for you to be able to turn around and trade it in for another game if you don't like it. That is the, I mean, like, for people to be able to do that for years and years and years, decades, and then all of a sudden, you go to an all digital future where that is absolutely not a thing. I think that's going to be missing, and something that people don't generally think about.
So one thing I'll say the last topic with it, but think about MGC, right? When we went,
Mm-hmm.
there were literally kids and everyone around there that like wanted physical stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's still a craving for physical out there. And I feel like after a couple more generations, I think they'll be able to lock it down. But for now, I think that it's still going to thrive. There's certain games you can't get unless you have
Mm-hmm.
a physical copy of it.
Yeah.
My feeling is that if I own something physical, you can't take it away from me. I own the key to the door. Now, if I go digital, then basically they own the door and they keep you closed out when they want to.
Uh-huh.
And so, yeah, that's pretty crazy. But we're going to talk about something more fun. Uh, Something from our generation that's really fun was this thing that Nickelodeon used to do. Nickelodeon had like all the cool game shows, all the cool cartoons and stuff. But the one thing that we used to watch, me and him both, when we were talking about this other thing, is what's called a Nintendo Super Toy Run. If you remember Supermarket Sweep as a kid, it's a game show where they basically get into a cart and they run around and they try to put as many items in their thing to get the highest cost and all that stuff. But for the kids, whatever you got in the cart, you got to keep. So we're each going to tell our scenario. If we were actually the winners of it, what we would do for those Super Toy Runs. And the Super Toy Run was in KB Toys, so you might have to go to your imagination and look at KB Toys and check it out. But what would you do if you were in that scenario? It's 5 minutes. 5 minutes to get as
Dude,
much stuff as you want.
that surprised the crap out of me. Like whenever we were looking this up just to make sure that we had our statistics right and our data right. I don't remember it being 5 minutes. That's crazy. I would just wreck a KB Toys on a Nickelodeon Super Toy Run in 5 minutes because I would stay in one place. I would throw that cart over the counter. No, throw it. I would jump over the counter or get over the counter as best I could and just take those rows and rows of video games and just play Tetris inside that cart as best I could, just to fit as much as I could. Because 5 minutes, that's an eternity when you're just dumping video games into a cart. Like, why would you go? Yeah, devil's advocate. Yes, some people play outside still. So maybe I would have wanted a Tonka truck, or maybe the latest Super Soaker back in the day, or a freaking Nerf gun, or some koosh balls.
Who's the best?
Yeah. But the money is in Nintendo. Even back then, dude, I can't believe we were even able to afford. People, complain about these $60-$70 games now. Think about a $50 or $60 game back in 1992. Do that conversion like on the internet, like how much that is, and it's a lot of money. And I can't believe that our parents were even able to afford anything for us back then because it was crazy expensive. We've got it pretty good nowadays. Do you have anything surprising that you would put in your cart besides video games, or are you in the same camp and you're going to do like I do?
Well, this is what would usually happen. I would literally, and we were talking about this earlier, I would literally drop kick that door in the back open, and I would grab every damn console and game I get my hands on, and then this is what I would do. Honestly, I would take 2 minutes just to go through there and clean that house. And then what I would do is with the other 2 minutes is I would go through the toy aisles that I like. So turtles all the way. There'd be a ton of turtles in that thing. There's also this thing, I can't remember what it's called. It was a ball, right? And it had a disc around it, and you would jump on the damn thing.
Oh, yeah.
I can't think of the name of that thing. I would get one of those. And then also I would grab the most ridiculous toy sets ever. Like they have like the giant spaceship for like G.I. Joe or any of that type of stuff. I would just try to grab as much of that. And then with 1 minute left, all I would casually do is find all the small trinkets that I want. Like, say, for example, I need some controllers. I need some kind of accessories for my stuff. I would go after those things, but the thing is that you didn't realize too, you have to make it to the finish line.
Yeah. You have to get across the finish line.
You have to get across the line. So I would literally give myself 30 seconds to get that little trinkets, and then run my ass to that thing to get it crossed over.
Do you remember some kids? That actually just made me remember something. Some kids would sit there and not even take the cart to the toys. They would put the cart in a certain place and then go over to the toys and then sit there and try and make freaking as if it were a basketball hoop.
Yeah,
try and throw them into the cart. What are they doing?
I saw one where the kids pushed it. They pushed the cart through the thing, and then they just basically ran back and they got stacked stuff in their hands and then walked back with it too. Because they just told me as long as it's not touching the ground, you could keep it. So then they would come back over and they would stack up the thing on the cart, which is insane. You think about Mr. Beast now, he was doing that type of crazy stuff with the circle and type of things like that. Mm-hmm. I bet he was inspired by all those craziness for Nickelodeon.
Well, that was before his time, but yeah, I'm sure he's at least aware of it. Yeah, Mr. Beast is the Nickelodeon Super Toy Run of today's youth.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But it's just interesting. I always wondered who's paying the bill for that. Is KB Toys paying the bill?
It's KB Toy, man. That's all advertising for them, brother.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, which was cool because growing up, KB Toys was the only toy store that we had. I didn't have a Toys R Us growing up. And how big was your KB Toys? Because ours was a pretty small place in the mall. It wasn't that big a place.
Mine was tiny. No, mine had the back aisles were toys, and then the fronts were just video games.
Yeah, same. Okay, so it was the same.
Yeah, it wasn't. Toys R Us is the craziest spot I've been to. I remember when episode 1 came out, and Toys R Us had an entire row of episode 1 stuff. how big their stores were. And they had a storage room in the back where they put all the games. So you get your ticket, you have to go over there and get it, and they walk it up to the counter so you can get it.
Do you have that that thing that you have all your Mega Man games in right now? You know what I'm talking about? The thing that you bought from Ben?
Which one?
The slats, you have like Mega Man 1 through 6, like in those plastic.
I got it. You want me to grab it?
Can you grab that real quick?
Yeah, I sure can.
So what I'm talking about, this thing that he's about to grab, I remember these being in KB or not KB Toys, in KB Toys. Like see, there were a whole bunch of these things, and like you could they were like on a swivel, so that there were a whole bunch of these like slats, and they had the games in them, and you could sit there and look at the game, and if you wanted a game, you're like, hey, I want that one. Well, they had a whole bunch of them on display. And that's just one of the slats. Like, that's in really good condition. I think he actually refurbished that. So
I refurbished this one. So what they would have is they would have a whole thing for a wall. And I've seen this. So they have slats, and Sega has these versions too, by the way. And they would put them in there, and just a little historical thing. There's keys in here on the bottom, if I can show it to you.
Yeah.
These keys were used for fire alarms. And so the fire alarms, when they had them, right, they were the same keys they used in the kiosks for the stores, because the stores would lose the same key. And so someone on the internet basically explained it to me and my friend Nick. And sure enough, we had all this stuff. And I apologize. My family just got home, so they're running around like crazy people. So I apologize. But I refurbished this one, and this is what they would display. They had Super Nintendo ones, they had Sega ones, and this was cool because they had 6 slots, so I was able to put in like all my Mega Man games for it. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Eric, did your KB Toys have those on display?
Toys R Us. I've seen these at Toys R Us.
Because our KB Toys actually had those. Like, that's where I remember those from.
And like I said, it was weird because I remember Toys R Us had tickets, but they also had, like, you walk down all the new releases, they had the flaps for all the new releases. So they had their own, like, it was colored in the Toys R Us colors, but they still had those metal pieces on the sides of them. So it's a cool memory just to have it. I mean, I got the best one from Ben that he had, and then I basically try to refurbish it. So it's a cool memory to have.
That's super nice. I need to help you mount that somewhere on your wall. Like, that's such a cool piece, and I'm glad you've got it, and it totally brings back memories every time I see it in your game room, because, like I said, that used to be in our KB Toys.
I don't know, like, with the Super Toy Run, like, it's crazy that they still don't do it now, because with all these cool toys they have now for kids, it would be nuts to blow their minds if they saw some kid doing that. Do you ever think they would bring it back?
They should, like you said, they should. It'd be a fun thing. Like, I for all I know, it still does exist. I don't watch Nickelodeon anymore. There's no reason for me to. You have kids, so maybe you're maybe more aware than I would be, but as far as I know, they don't, and they really should, because it'd be good publicity for somebody. I don't know what toy store would be able to do it now, because what toy store exists,
Yep. The one thing you would enjoy on there, just to let you know, they have football now, right? And so they have it's I'm not joking. So they get like an NFL player, and then they get like SpongeBob and Patrick, and they do the announcing for it. And when they get a touchdown, watch it later. They get a touchdown, they act like they get slimed, like when they make the touchdown. And they do it every year, like Pacific Games, to show.
That's hilarious.
On there. And it's really fun. Do they make fun of like all like the coaches, and they do all those like silly jokes and stuff? It's really funny. Just thought I'd throw that out there. All right, last is corrections for last week. If we have any corrections or anything like that, Abar, do you have any corrections that you want to say or anything like that?
Nope, that was perfect. I'm just kidding. I have no corrections for last week.
I have one. With the AEW Fight Forever game, I know I talked about Chugs being into it, but Chugs is Adam Cole, if you don't know. He does live streams, so he's a big live streamer for games and things like that. The producer of the AEW Fight Forever that basically helped produce it, that was Kenny Omega. And if you don't know who Kenny Omega is, he's probably one of the best wrestlers in the world out here. Here's one thing I'll tell you: if you ever want to see a really good wrestling match, Ibarra, look up him and Will Ospreay, and they have these incredible matches. But Kenny Omega is such a huge Final Fantasy nut. He's loved in Japan. I call him Japan Jesus right now because all of Japan loves him. He's a really, really cool guy. A big Abbott Street Fighter fan. It was the first time I've ever seen where a WWE competitor and a competitor from like New Japan like went to Evo and fought each other in Street Fighter, which was what was his name? Xavier Woods and them. So I think it's like really, really cool. Thank you, Kenny Omega, because I've been wanting this N64 game forever. I love it. I know a lot of people are just straight teabagging it for some reason, which just gets on my nerves. It's got a good creative character. Oh, it's not like WWE. The graphics are horrible. It's specifically made for that. I don't understand how you not know that. Go get No Mercy and then go play it. And then you'll figure out what the hell's going on.
That reminds me, I think my copy's actually supposed to be here today, so it might be like outside waiting for me to play tonight. Yeah,
we'll have to get your review of it next week.
Mm.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us. Do you have anything before we go, Ibarra?
Yeah, final thing is, the shameless plugs. I've got my existing book, the Video Game Console Collector's Field Guide, that's available right now to ship. I mean, like right now. PremiumEditionGames.com. While you're there, check out the games that we have for sale. We have a couple really fun ones up for pre-order, specifically Wife Quest, which is super fun. I mentioned that I'm a graphic designer for Premium Edition Games. Well, part of that graphic designing is making the manuals for those games. So I have to actually play through those games and be an expert at it and then write the manuals. That one's no exception, and it's super, super fun. And anyone who wants an old school 2D platforming challenge, that's a challenging game, especially the bosses. It's crazy. And then finally, I mentioned at the very beginning, I was working on my Kickstarter that I hope to go live next week. I want to launch it on Tuesday. It's either going to be Tuesday or Wednesday in the morning. So please check it out on Kickstarter. It's the Video Game Collector's Field Guide.
You can find me at GI Gamer Nights 81 on Facebook. We also want to stress enough. We're trying to get more viewers and people, watching our shows so we can keep doing these. We are on Spotify and we are on YouTube. Just look up MAGDX on the site and we should pop up immediately. A middle-aged gamer from Dimension X, but if you type in MAGDX, it should pop up immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank you guys for joining us today. I can't wait to hear about your Hot Tub Time Machine review next week.
Yeah.
And as usual with the lines I give, collect and open and play your games. I got 2 games today that I've already tore open already. They're brand spanking new. Looks like I lost all my money in my stock, but I'm going to enjoy my games.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching, and remember, subscribe, like, do everything in your power to make this better. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys.